Hey guys, Metal Jesus here, and time for another Patreon question. This one comes from Joe England, and he asks, what long-forgotten game would you like to see get a proper sequel? Such a great question, and to help me answer this, I've assembled the Metal Jesus crew, and we're going to start with Drunken Master Paul.
All right, so a game series that I'd love to see a sequel to is, and this is going to stun all of you, Crimson Skies. Come on, the PC version was so cool, and then the Xbox version was really cool too, and it just went and died. It's such a fantastic universe, a great world to play in, and I need more. I crave more. I played that Xbox game, I kid you not, at least 30 or 40 times all the way through. I have over $1 million in money on this thing. Yeah, I need to please have another Crimson Skies.
A long-lost game series that I would love to come back is actually the Bumpy Trot series, which we know here in America as Steambot Chronicles. Now, this is the last game they made on the PSP, and this is a fun game too, but the second game was in development, but development ceased, and that was a game I was waiting for so long, and it kept getting delays, and they just finally canceled it, and it was really, really sad to me. So hopefully that game will be brought back. If not, I'll just keep hoping that it will be. If you haven't played Steambot Chronicles, stop what you're doing right now, pause the video right now, go and buy it.
A series that I would like to see come back is Dark Cloud, because the first game was amazing. I rented that over and over and over again. I probably should have purchased the freaking game. Don't worry, I have 2 copies now. And of course they made a second one, but I think they could do so much more with that series and that concept. Please, make Dark Cloud 3.
So one of my favorite games that nobody really seems to care about is a game called Cell Damage, and I think I've mentioned it before, but it is a really, really fun car combat game. Bright, colorful cartoon graphics, really like crude, funny humor, and I don't know, I think it works really well with the car combat genre. This game was supposed to have a sequel, but it never came out. It's made by Pseudo Interactive. They have since shut down. A lot of their original members went on to start Drinkbox Studios, which is who makes Guacamelee. So I don't really know where the rights to this lie. I don't really know how many people would even really buy a sequel, but I would really, really, really love another awesome, funny, colorful car combat game, because that's just not really happening anymore, unfortunately. It's kind of like a dead genre. I don't know. Make it happen.
Nintendo, where is my Star Tropics 3? Can you imagine Star Tropics 3 using the Switch remotes to like yo-yo, HD Rumble and all that? Star Tropics 3, can you imagine? And while we're at it, would it hurt EA to do a Haunting starring Poltergeist for next generation systems? Could you imagine Haunting starring Poltergeist for like Xbox One or something like that? Man, EA, how about that instead of Craptastic 2017 or whatever you're coming out with next? Haunting starring Poltergeist for EA. Star Tropics 3, Nintendo, make it happen. You saw nothing.
Some forgotten games that I think really deserve a sequel are, number 1, Mischief Makers. This was an action platformer by Treasure back on the N64, and it didn't really sell great, probably because it had a really steep learning curve, and back in that day, people wanted 3D out of the 64, not 2D, so it didn't sell quite as well. But Morena was such a wonderful character, and I would just love to see her in another game. And this game was really innovative and creative and fun, and I would just love to see another one. And for something a little bit newer, I would love to see a new Folklore. This game was one of the launch titles for the PS3, and I loved it. It is kind of based off Celtic folklore, and it's kind of you're trying to solve a mystery, and it's so fun, it's so beautiful. And it also had poor sales, probably because no one had ever heard of this, and the cover's a little bit bland and whatever, but it had a canceled sequel, which is really too bad, because I think this game needs to be explored a little bit more, because it was so creative and so fun, and I would love to see another one.
You know, honestly, I've thought about this for a while, and I stand behind my answer, Shinobi. You know, the Shinobi series, you know, kind of faltered in the early 2000s. I know they even had a Shinobi 3D, I think, for the 3DS, which wasn't great at all. You know, it really goes back to, you know, Revenge of Shinobi was kind of the sweet spot. The awesome Shinobi 3. And there was some decent PlayStation ones, early 2000s, but honestly, there hasn't been a great sequel to that franchise for way too long. You know, Sega, you know, they really need to think about doing this because, you know, they've done a ton of Sonics. They have so many other franchises that they need to make true sequels, you know, fully develop these sequels, high production values. So my answer is Shinobi. I definitely think that Shinobi, if done today, would be amazing with the graphics capability that they could produce something amazing. Come on, Sega.
My answer to this question would be to do another role-playing game in the Vampire the Masquerade series. Now, there were 2 of them released on the PC only. I have the first one here, which is Redemption, and then also the sequel, which is called Bloodlines. What makes this series so interesting is that it's based on an actual pen and paper role-playing game that's been around for years, and so they have all this history that they can draw upon when it comes to the clans, the characters, the backstory of everything, also the rules. But what really grabbed me in these games, especially in the second one, is that you really get to roleplay what it would be like to be a newly created vampire in this world. And more specifically, like, for instance, in this universe, there are multiple clans and multiple styles of vampires. And so you get to actually choose, are you a regal vampire, or are you a crazy vampire, or something in between? Are you more animal-like? Also, you can play this completely non-violently if you want to. There's multiple ways to solve many of the different puzzles and different missions in it. It's such a great, underrated game. Now, it's not perfect. This, especially this one right here, shipped buggy, but people ended up fixing it. And it's just a series of role-playing games that I think deserves another shot. I'd love to see a third one get a proper budget, a proper team of developers, and just knock it out of the park and do something really cool with it. So anyways, that's our answers. I'd love to know what your answers are for a long forgotten series that you think deserve to be rebooted. Love to know down in the comments. As always, I want to thank you for watching my channel. Thank you for subscribing, and take care.